I mean, looking at your CV, it's not kind of straightforward progression in some ways. I mean, I don't want to be...
It's a mess like me, yeah. But I like making it all up as I'm going along.
Yeah.
It's like you just be open to wherever you end up stumbling.
Yeah. So you went on to do a film called The Return.
I did a Warrior, and then I did a film in America, which is a nightmare.
Yeah, I was reading about that this morning, and it seems very outside of maybe what you would have done.
It didn't start off like that, see, because it started off with quite an interesting premise, and the producer who asked me to do it had made some interesting films, and actually after The Warrior, I had a hard time getting my second film up and running.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's a struggle to make your first film. My first film, I got it together, we had a script, I shot it in India, it won a couple of BAFTAs, it got sold to Miramax in America, and it was all kind of... And then after that, second film was like, now what? And a lot of the films I wanted to do didn't happen. And so, you know, you run out of money, you're skint, you got to pay the rent. So I got offered to do this film, and I thought the producer was interesting, and I thought it was an interesting idea about reincarnation. So I thought, okay, there's something interesting here. It then became a kind of... the studio tried to make it into like this horror film, which I did not sign up for, and the script wasn't that, and that's when it became a nightmare. It was a big learning curve. I mean, this stuff happens. I'm not the first director from Ireland or the UK who went to America and ended up kind of getting a bit screwed by the system. But all you know, whatever doesn't kill you, if it makes you stronger, then you go, okay, lesson learned. And every film I've done in one way or another has been really tough. They all are. They all are. There's no easy films. So then you just say, okay, I've learned a bit. Watch who you work with, watch who your producers are. You know, and it's quite political. That's what I say. There is a bit of art, but there's a hell of a lot of politics in making movies, and you just have to know how to deal with the politics. Every single film is about managing all of that stuff. And so what happened after that is one thing I've realised: I don't really want to live in LA. I like living in Europe. I like living in England. I like living in London. I like being, 2 hours away from Galway. And Paris and wherever. So it's interesting. It's like for me, filmmaking is like a process of elimination. Try everything out. If you don't like it, I'm not doing that again. At least I've learned. And when I worked on the film crew side of it, I did everything. I was an assistant editor. I was a first AD. I sound recorded. I was a boom. I was an electrician. I camera operated. I did a bit of everything to really understand how films are made. And I loved it. And I wasn't particularly good at any of them, so I ended up directing. Which, there you go.
It happens to everybody.
There were better people at everything, they essentially.
But then there was a film, Far North, and a feature film after that, which I think you developed yours. Was that?
Yes, I did this film in the Arctic called Far North with Michelle Yeoh, which was this mad kind of My Revenant. Everyone just talks about how hard that film was and how cold it was. Well, we shot a film in the Arctic, it was bloody cold. That kind of comes with the territory of shooting a film in snow. But it was a kind of mad experience of shooting near the North Pole, living on a Russian icebreaker, like polar bears around. So when we went off to shoot, we were living on a ship. You come off the ship, you go and shoot. There's people, local Norwegians with guns in case a hungry polar bear came along. Shoot the film, get back on the ship. While you're asleep, the ship goes to the next location. It was mad. It was amazing. My wife was pregnant. She was my art director, pregnant at the time, on these glaciers and stuff.
What was SENNA after starting at that stage, or was that?
So then this is the interesting. So then we had kids. First kid comes along. And then I thought, okay, all of the films I like doing and I'm interested and attracted to are always in far-flung places. I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could just do a film where I'm in London? And I'll be there in the breakfast time and I'll be there at bath time. And then somebody contacted me to see if I'd be interested in doing SENNA. And I thought, great, it'd be easy. I'll knock out this dog. And I'll be around while the kids are growing up. 5 years later... It was like really tough, political, mad. It was working title. It was Universal. So all of that stuff I learned from doing that previous studio film in America came in quite handy because there was this instinct that there's an interesting film. And I suppose SENNA and Amy are the learning experience of all these other films. What I said about not having lots of dialogue in the films and telling the story with pictures, for me, that's what SENNA was all about. The whole story's there in the images. Why has nobody thought of this before? I did lots of research, and while we were waiting for the deal to go through on SENNA, it was like 9 months of waiting where I was turning down other work. So I couldn't hire an editor because we weren't financed yet. But I had an edit suite, and I would look at the material. I'd go into work every day with the assistant editor, and the writer, and just look at it all. And I was just like, this is the best set of dailies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. And most of it we just took off YouTube to begin with, you know. And it's like there's all this great stuff with him. I wasn't a huge SENNA fan, but I just thought this is like it's all there. There's an amazing middle. There's this amazing rivalry. There's a very powerful, moving ending. I don't know where the film begins, but we could work that out. And we put an assembly together, just the footage we ripped off YouTube, and it's like 7 hours long. And we screened it at the cinema. We had our first screening on a 7-hour cut. You had to bring a packed lunch and everything. Yeah. And but it worked. It was really like, there's a movie here. Where do you say, okay, this is my feeling of the best way to make this film because I'm directing it. And there are other things I'm willing to compromise, but certain things I'm not going to compromise on. And that's where it would be very easy as the director of a documentary to go and do some interviews and people watch the film and, oh, that's the bit you shot. And if you don't put them in, people are going to say, well, what did you do? And I suppose what I did, you have to have the idea not to put yourself in the film, because a lot of docs become, for me, about the filmmaker's point of views, or you know, it's their angle on something. And when I'm doing a fiction film or a drama or a narrative film, I don't want anyone to be aware of the filmmaker.
Yeah.
You want people to forget. You want them to just get lost in the story. So when I'm doing a documentary, I'm feeling the same way. Don't think about me. Think about him, her, in Amy's case.
Yeah.
So that was the angle, and it's like it's not easy, and that's why they take a long time. So SENNA was 5 years putting it together, going all over the world, looking for these little bits and pieces that somehow you hope might connect, because it's not all neatly in one cupboard. You know, with SENNA particularly, like there may be a shot on SENNA which came from Italian TV. The reverse shot on Prost may have come from French TV. 2 shot maybe English TV, and there'll be a helicopter shot that was American. Yeah. And we had to go all over the world over many years to find all of these little pieces and realize they connect. And then there might be like 50 people with hands and cassette tapes holding the hand trying to get an interview with SENNA or Prost. And we got to the point where we were like, whose hand is that? Oh, it's that German woman, isn't it? Let's contact her. We contact her. Have you got your tapes? And she go, maybe. They're in my old house in Hamburg or something. I won't be there for 6 months, but I'll have a look in the attic. And 6 months later, she goes in the attic. She's still got her TDK 90s, plays them all, finds an interview with SENNA that ends up in the film. Yeah. You know, it was literally like searching everywhere for bits and pieces for this kind of giant mosaic to kind of tell someone's story in their and their life. But then the key thing is that technically, visually, it's not looking great. Okay, even it's very visceral. So you have to just be brave enough to say, even though the camera's shaky, sometimes technically it's not good, but it's real. It's the real guy, it's the real point, it's the real moment. There's only one take, one shot. The audience will go with it. Yeah. Just trust your instincts. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect.